Hey, what's up everybody? Today I'm going to do a really quick tutorial on gradients and how to use them in Anime Studio or MOHO Pro 12. And also I'm just going to give you an update on my body turn character for those of you who are waiting for that. Still working on it. But really quick, I wanted to show you guys how you can use gradients effectively in Anime Studio. So I took this picture from the internet. I just took a screen capture of just the Avengers logo from Infinity War poster. And I want to kind of recreate this. So I'm going to start off by creating some text, and you do that by doing Command T. And it's going to bring up this dialog box, and right now I have Poptoogi typed in here. And the font that I'm using, or the typeface, is called Vengeance, and it's free to use from dafont.com. And I'll leave a link in the description below so you can find that. But I'm gonna just type in Avengers real quick and hit OK. And now we have this text right here, and I want to recreate this coloring right here. And what I'm gonna do is first I'm just gonna convert this text to a vector so we have all the points and whatnot. And I'm gonna hit Q and select the coloring inside. And that's going to turn it checkered. And to recreate this gradient, and for those of you who don't know what a gradient is, it's just fading from one color to another, basically. So if I select the color, hitting Q and selecting the inside of the shape, and then going over to Effect, and under the menu, select Gradient, you'll see it brings up this other dialog box, and then also these kind of handles. The handles are showing you the fading effect from one point to another. So you can see we have white to black right now. If I hit OK and I move these points around, you can see the beginning and the ending of these points start the coloring from top to bottom. And I'll click gradient again so we can kind of see. Let me click off of the artwork for just a second. I want you guys to see what I'm doing as I do it. So I'm trying to get the checkered thing off. Okay, so it's going from black to white right now, and we want to kind of match this. So in order to do that, I'm going to click on the black, and then I'm going to use my eyedropper, which is this button right here, and I'll left click and hold it, and I'll drag it to the top of the Avengers logo over here, and you see it copies that color. And then if I want to add another color, I'll go right into the center. I'll just click on here, and it's going to add another swatch. So now that's selected, so I'm going to go up here and do the same thing. Color select or sample from there. And you see it turns orange. And then I can click on the white, use the color picker, and then I can select the bottom right here for that bottom A. And you can see it turns that kind of brownish. And you can keep adding colors to it if you just click within the swatch, or I mean in the gradient, and then color pick. So I want some more yellow, so I just wanted to add that in. And you can see I can move the gradient anywhere I want. So if I want to bring it closer or farther to get together, it's really easy to create more colors for this. So that looks pretty good. It's pretty close to what we want. So I'm going to hit OK. Now I want to add a stroke because I want this to look more metallic. So I'll click stroke, and you can see it just added a white stroke to it. I'll hold shift down and select a different color just so you can see it a little easier. So there's green, but we want it to look more goldish. So I'm going to hit Q, select the artwork again, to make sure that it's all selected, and then we're going to select gradient for the stroke as well. So we're going to do the same exact thing. We can see that we have those handles up here, and I'm going to go ahead and click on the white, select a color, and I'm just going to pick it from the Avengers logo again over here. I'll add a new swatch. I can grab this from my own artwork, do brown. And another way to make metallic colors really easy, I've found, is to... Oh, this is a good way to delete unwanted swatches is to click on them and just hit delete. So to make a metallic gradient, you can just pick within between, and it's going to pick that color, and then you can shift those around. So you can use the same colors over and over again to kind of create this kind of metallic look. And also, if you double click on the color or click on the color swatch here, then you can actually pick a new color as well. So I can pick a lighter yellow. I can click next to it and grab that and pull it over, and you can see it's showing the effect inside of my artwork right there. So you can really mess around and play with this. A good way to show or kind of fake metallic shine is to push two colors really close together, and it gives this kind of cut off look. Let me see if I can show you right. See how it's really sharp? If I do a command R and render it, probably see it a little better. See how it's really sharp with the within the stroke? It's just a good way to kind of fake a metallic look. But let me go back in there real quick, and I'm gonna pull those apart some and hit OK. And I'm gonna go ahead and turn the width down so it's really thin, the stroke, to 2. Command R to kind of check it. So now we've got this nice looking metallic surrounding, I don't know if you'd call it a bevel, or just, you know, it makes the words kind of pop out. And I'm gonna go ahead and duplicate this. So I'm gonna duplicate that entire layer, and the layer underneath, our original one, I'm going to actually expand the stroke a couple. Oops. Hit Q, select it, and expand the stroke. So I'm making the width 4, so it's a little bit thicker now. And all I'm going to do is flip the gradient. So I'm going to grab the handle, turn it upside down. If you hold shift down, it'll snap into 45-degree angles. And then pull this handle down. So basically all I'm doing is taking that the stroke that has the gradient on it, expanding it a little bit, and then flipping the gradient, which kind of creates this extra edge. And if I render this again, now it's looking really shiny and really metallic. So there's some gradients, and now I also want to add a highlight. So I'm going to create a new group layer that I'm going to throw everything in. I'll just call it Avengers logo. I'm going to drag both of those layers that I just created into that folder. So if I hide it, it hides both of them. And they move together. And remember, these two, I have 2 copies, and the bottom one is just to make another extra kind of edge to the artwork. Let me hide that screenshot for a second. So now I want to create a little bit of a shine too. And this is going to be a highlight, so I'm going to be on frame 0. I'll create a new vector layer, and I'll just call this highlight. And now I'm going to select the circle tool or the ellipse tool. I'm just going to drag and drop an oval over our logo. Let's go ahead and put this on the top of the 2 words, and I'll hit Q and select it. And you can see our handles are way up here. We'll go ahead and move those real quick. And I'll move that down. And we'll go into the gradient. Now we're going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to click on these swatches or these colors and hit delete. And we're only going to have 2. And I'll click on the first one, click on the fill, and we'll select white and hit OK. And we're going to do the same thing for the other swatch or the other color and select white for that. But this time we're going to turn the opacity all the way down to 0 and hit OK. And also make sure you select allow transparency. So now we can see through it. And I'll hit OK. And basically what we're doing is making kind of a fade from white to nothing. And we also want to mask this. So I'm going to double click on our folder, and under masking we'll hit hide all and hit apply. So what this is doing is it's making it so that highlight circle that we just created can only be seen in this bottom layer, which is the Avengers bottom layer. So let me make a background real quick, just so you guys can see it a little better. And I'll just drag this like that and make this plain so it's just black background. So let me select the highlight layer. So there's our circle, and if I pull it up here, you can see you can only see the effect within the words. See that there? And I want to move around this highlight, so I'm going to hit Q, and you can see we have those handles, and I'm going to go ahead and pull this down so the end of the gradient is white where my cursor is, and at the top it's see-through. So if I pull this down, you can see it starts fading back into the color behind it. So this kind of makes this shine like that. So if I do a Command R and render that, you can see now we have this kind of really cool highlight going over our words as well. And you can move that around and make it look really good. And that's kind of it as far as gradients go. Now, but one problem that you might have is that if you move this right now, the gradients are stuck inside the artwork because I have it in a folder. So you don't really have a problem with that. But sometimes I've noticed people will have problems if they draw. Let's hide this. I'm going to go ahead and draw a new piece of artwork, or just a square. I'll call this gold. And draw a new square. I'm going to hit Q and select it. And just change the color so we can see it easier. So how we have the square, and you want to add a gradient to it. I'm going to use a picture, an actual photograph, and just select colors from that. So I found this picture of a gold bar, and I'm just using this to select the colors from it. So we're going to do the same kind of thing. I'll hit Q and select the color of our piece of artwork that we want to change, and we're going to say do a gradient. And again, the default's from white to black, but we want to use colors from this picture, so we'll use the eyedropper. I'll select white, and then I'll left click and drag and let go over the gold over here, and then make a new color by just clicking underneath and grab another color from the photo, and then maybe another one from here, and then let's do one more, this dark brown, like that. And again, just so you know, you can make your own really cool gradients. You can actually just create new colors from the ones you have. So I'll select this one over here, and I can pull this, select this yellow, move it over here. Now we've got this really nice looking gold gradient that we created from this picture. So it looks really good, actually. But the problem is, now we've got this gradient in here, and say you're animating this object. You know, I'm moving it around. Doesn't look like the gradient's changing, but all of a sudden, if I rotate this, you can see the gradient is staying from top to bottom. It's not rotating with my shape, which can be a big problem if you're trying to kind of keep this gradient stuck to this picture or this piece of artwork. So in order to have your gradient stay with it, again, you'll have to have it in a folder, or you can bind it to a bone. So I'm going to create a new bone layer. I'll just call this gold bar. I'll select my piece of artwork that I just made, drag and drop it into the gold bar bone layer. I'll create a new bone, and I'm actually going to bind this object to the bone. So I'm going to hit B, select the bone, then I'm going to hit G and select the piece of artwork. So both are selected, the bone and the artwork, and I'm going to hit bind points and bind points. And in this instance, you also need to have some bone strength turned on. If you turn it all the way off, you turn it down like I usually do for my characters, it's not going to connect the gradient to the bone. But now, because there is a bone strength on there, if I grab the bone itself and go into the timeline and actually turn the bone, you can see the gradient stays with that piece of artwork. So if I turn it to the side or upside down, the gradient's always stuck to it. So that's just a really quick and easy way to make gradients and also keep them connected to your artwork. And also, I wanted to really quickly tell you guys what I'm doing with the body turn that I have so far. Last week I was talking about making my character turn, and I have him turning, so I have my head turning all the way to the side. So he's looking direct, or he's got a profile view, and the body also turns. I have a body turning all the way to the right, and it's looking pretty cool so far. I'm gonna go to frame 1. I'm just gonna show you what you can do with it so far. So let me turn the body, and I have the head and the body turning in different layers because I want the characters to be able to look around and move around independently. Same with the feet. They're gonna turn. If I go into the character, right now I'm working on the shoe, or the shoes, and see I have it so you can turn the shoe all the way from left to right so far, but I don't have any detail in it yet. So I'm just going to show you really quick. Let's do characters turned totally to the side. I'm going to go ahead and create a walk cycle. So I'll put 1 foot forward, 1 foot back. Do the opposite swing for the hands, or the arms. 1 back, 1 forward. And I'll freeze them. So Command A, Command F, freeze frame on 24. Then I'll go to frame 12, hit Z, move this leg back. Wait. Move the front leg forward, back leg back. So switch positions, do the same with the arms. 1 forward, 1 back. Straighten them up a little bit. Command A, Command F, freeze frames. And for a walk cycle, the front leg is going forward first. So on frame 6, I'm going to grab the front leg and bend it. And move the foot a little bit. I'll also bend the front arm. Command A, Command F to freeze those frames. Go to 18 and do the opposite. Bend the back leg and foot, and then do that. Command A, Command F. So we have our walk cycle. Actually get the little bob going on. So I'll transform the layer. Click on my character, go to frame 6, move him down a little bit. Then I'm going to copy and paste. This is just the bobbing up and down movement. So I'm grabbing the layer and just moving him up and down so he's got that little bob to him. Copying and pasting. Now I'm going to select the last keyframes, right click, cycle. I'm going to do relative to playback, and we're going to move it over from 23 to 22 because we don't want the last frame 24 and frame 1 to repeat, because he'd have a little stutter. So now my character's walking sideways, But I can have my character look back now that I have this head turn. So I'll go into the face layer. I'll click on my head turn once. And actually hit Z, head turn. Have him turn this way. I'll have him turn slower. And also I have actions in here, so I'm going to go in my actions, click worried, add keyframes. So he turns his head, looks a little worried. Hit Z. I'm going to have him turn his head some more. And maybe add a blink in there. So I'll click on my smart bone for my blink, go forward with my arrow key, blink. And then also let me go back. I'm going to click on the eye position. And I'll have him look down. And then maybe get scared. So I'll change the mouth position. So I'll click on the mouth. I'm going to right click on that keyframe I just made. Change it to steps so when I move this it doesn't cycle through all of them. Just goes to the next one that I choose. I'll have him scream kind of like he saw something. And now I'm going to have him run. So from this position, I'm going to freeze frame everything. So I'll select the body, Command A, Command F to freeze frame. Click on the transform layer too so he stops bouncing. Like that. So he stops. Then I'm going to go forwards like 114. And I'm going to make him start running. So I'll hit Z. Putting it in the run position. Putting his back leg forward. And then front leg back like that. Do the opposite swing for the arms. And I'm also going to click on both the hand poses, go forward one frame, and then I'm going to change it to fists. So he starts running. And that one. I'm just going forward a little bit so I can see the backhand. And change the backhand to that. I'll just pull it back so it swaps there. So now he's in his running position. So I'm going to do a Command A, Command F, freeze that, go forward. And I'm just doing this in like 24 frames just because it's easier for me to use these markers. So I'm going to go to 138. Hit Z, make the opposite position, bring this foot forward, bring the back one back, swap arm positions. Oh. And, oops, I need to put that at 126. So I have him forward, back, Command A, Command F, freeze frame. I'm going to grab the first keyframes we made for running and paste those in 138. Oops, 138. So now we have a swinging motion of him running. So he's going from walking. He sees the whatever it is. Goes to running position. So the run cycle is a little different. The back leg's going to go back first. So we go in between the scissor motion, which is this pose to this pose, and the back leg going back. So the back leg actually is going to hit the ground. So I'm going to pull it all the way straight and make it a little bit behind the back and flatten the foot. And And also bend that arm a little bit. Command A, Command F to freeze that. Go in between the scissor position here and here, which is 132. Grab the front leg, do the opposite. Put it flat and behind the back a little bit. Grab the arm and move it just a tad. Command A, Command F. Now we have a run cycle. But we need to make him bob up and down. And we also need to compress this, because that's the same amount of frames we use for the walk cycle. We need him to move a little faster. So I'm going to grab all of these by dragging over them, holding Option. Drag them together so they're a little bit closer together. Now he's running. And we're going to select those last keyframes. Right click, cycle, relative to playback, and we're going to type in 12. See if that's right. Nope. I'm going to move. I'm just using my scroll wheel on my mouse to put it right here right after the very first frame. So now we've got the run cycle. And I'm going to grab the characters, the transform layer tool. So I'm going to click on it here. And then I'm going to raise him up. Oops. I don't want him to do that. Here. Actually, what I'm doing is, you know, my character stops moving right here. Let's bring the run cycle a little bit closer to so we'll raise him up. There we go. So he's kind of jumping up, and then I'm gonna bring him back down. And then I'm gonna copy and paste these two keyframes. Copy, paste, paste, and all I'm doing is matching up the keyframes for my run cycle, and this is the up and down motion. So we're going to do the same thing we did for the run cycle. Right click, cycle, relative to playback. Can't remember what it was. I'm typing in 14, almost. It's 15. Now our character's running, and again, I can go into the face and turn it at any time. So I'll hit Z, select the face turn or head turn, turn his face to look back, forward. Change the eye position. I can have him look up. Like something else in the sky is following him. And I can do all of my lip syncing and stuff as I would regularly, and have my actions. I can put those in at any time. That's a squint. Let's do half closed. And grab the eyes. Change the mouth position. So I think, yeah, I'm going to try and maybe have it a full 360 body turn, like have the character face away even. That's going to take a little longer, but I just wanted you guys to see kind of what you're going to be able to do with the character when it's done. And that's about it. Hopefully I'll have a couple more tutorials up this weekend. I'll be working on this and some other stuff. Some Illustrator tutorials as well is the reason why I'm going to have a couple, I think. But that's it. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. Again, check out my Gumroad store if you want to get some free characters and artwork, or you can buy some stuff there too. And yeah, I'll see you guys soon.